Hey folks, welcome to part 4 of how to get an academic job. It's Tom here, I'm from New Zealand. We're going to be talking about why this guy is fucked, and we're going to be covering today preparing for a cover letter. Right, so this is a short one compared to some of the other rants. Really, just these 3 points will be covered. They're pretty important for your cover letter. So, the main role of the cover letter is to narrate your CV into the job description and the institution. So to kind of tell a story which shows you, the job, and the institution together, shows how they're connected, shows how they're all just going to, synergize. That cover letter is a space where you can address problems or weaknesses that you've had, and in the sense I mean like by highlighting things which might have happened to you along the road to success that have held you back. You should use the cover letter to convey some kind of ideas about yourself and what you're like and what kind of colleague you'll be. You're going to tell them what sort of things you're going to bring to their institution, and what it is about the institution that's attractive to you, and you're going to tell them about how you're going to contribute to their scholarly community. In this sense, you don't want to sound like you're going to be telling them what to do, but you're going to give them a kind of idea about what the kind of things that are that you could do which could add to what's already been done there. So for a young newly graduated PhD student, early career researcher, a really key thing to be able to convey in your cover letter is that you have a next project that's after your PhD. Alright? So you might not have published anything in that area yet, or there might be something in press. So this is the area, this is the point in your campaign to get a job and communicate to them about you, where you start to mention what your next project is and what you're planning to do over the next couple of years to develop that project and create cool outcomes and cool incomes. Outputs and inputs, rather. Okay, so you need to be able to articulate this project in a couple of sentences. You need to be able to explain how it's not your PhD dressed up, but that it's building upon things from your PhD, and that it's connected to potential publications and grants. And you explain how it will fit into these existing grant schemes and what kind of relationships you need to build to be in this grant space, in terms of like what kind of research partners you have or might need, what kind of facilities, etc., etc. Right, now one of the things that's really important to do is to join the slogan economy. And I'm hat tipping very majorly Professor Ned Roster here, an esteemed colleague. So universities are businesses. They are full of business plans or visions of the future or whatever that they use to promote themselves, and they use as a kind of collectively building a vision of the future across all these disparate faculties, schools, departments, whatever they're called, right? And even at the local level, like in a research center or a school or department, there might be statements that they have about like their approach to teaching, their understanding of research, relationship between teaching and research and practice, applied research, basic research, you name it, right? And so it's your job is to kind of do some research on this area that you're applying to, this school, center, whatever. Do some research about how it thinks of itself around the ideas of research and teaching and the relationship between them, and not just in that particular, say, area, but like in the other areas it fits into, in that whole kind of genus, subspecies kind of way that universities organize themselves, like the centers in a school, the schools in a faculty, the faculties in a something else. So, you look up and down the food chain to look at the kind of ideas that it has about describing itself, and you think about what those things mean to you, and you build those into your application, particularly cover letter, especially if there's a really big emphasis on something or another. So, for example, like, Yawn at the moment, like a lot of universities are all about blended learning. And, in the past, I've applied for jobs where people want teaching to be research-led, or they want research to be practice-led, or they want the teaching to be student-centered. Now, look, man, you got to just Google that shit, and maybe look at some academic articles about it, look at some reports about it. There's so much stuff about all of these things. Anything that's like a noteworthy phrase that they're able to put into a job description, or even into a description of their vision, has been so worked over in the last decade or so in terms of research and reports, and used in other universities in particular ways, that there's a wealth of information about how you can position yourself in relation to it. So just take the time to recognize these phrases, pull them out, excavate and discover more about them, and use it to describe yourself and your own work in relation or through that concept. How do you position yourself in relation to the digital humanities? How do you position yourself in relation to big data, or what other buzzword is going around at the particular time? I mean, you don't have to be the top dog on the area, but you have to have a way of talking about yourself in relation to that particular, center of attention. Okay, that's it on cover letters. Coming up, selection criteria.